G'day guys, back with the Outer Circle, and today I want to talk about some of the models I've been working on. I'm going to do another one of these later on, and that's going to show off sort of the jet bikes and that sort of aspect of the White Scars. This time out, we're looking at my Shattered Legion's force, which is a Sagyar Mazan force, which, for those who don't understand the Horus Heresy, at the start of the Heresy, the White Scars had a bit of a conflict of interest. Some wanted to side with the War Master, they were very close to the Sons of Horus, and others wanted to stay with the Imperium. The Imperial faction won out, and the Scars, due to this infighting, the Khan basically had a choice. Execute all the people who he felt had betrayed him, like the traitors did, killing off the loyalists, or find another way of punishing them. He executed the ringleaders, but basically the rest of them became marked for death, and he exiled them from the Legion. He said, go out, cause as much damage to the traitors as you can, try and die honourably to gain back some honour. Which is a pretty cool theme, and most of these guys went off with the Iron Hands, because there was an Iron Hands Shattered Legion force who was present with the Scars at the time they made this decision. Now, with that in mind, Iron Hands, the perfect complement to my White Scars. Is this the best force for a Shattered Legion's game? No. If you're going to play White Scars, you play with bikes. Let's be honest. These are Zone Mortalis games, and White Scars in Zone Mortalis with bikes are excellent. Unlike other forces, because they ignore dangerous terrain, they basically have no penalties in Zone Mortalis. Yeah. I'm making my White Scars walk around everywhere, which is counterintuitive. Now, the Iron Hands are always tough, but Iron Hands are very slow, so again, Zone Mortalis, they can take the hits, but they can't get anywhere. So, this is not really practical, but it's themey as fuck, which I think is cool. So, let's go through a few of the units. First off the bat, Hibao Khan. Now, Hibao, here, when I can focus in on him, this guy gave Horus Aximand, little Horus, a Chagorian shave. What's that, some might ask? Well, essentially, the Iron Hands led an ambush on the Sons of Horus forces, and Hibao Khan was present. Horus Aximand is one of the 4 leading Sons of Horus captains, one of the Mournival. And Horus Aximand beat an Iron Hands commander, Bion Henrikos, and said to him, you know, basically, you can't beat us in this sort of fighting. And Henrikos sort of winked, looked at the camera and said, yeah, but they can. And that's when the White Scars jumped out of the shadows and ambushed the fuck out of the Sons of Horus. And Hibao Khan beat Horus Aximand in a sword fight, in a duel. And Horus Aximand felt hot in the face and looks down and sees the front of his helmet on the ground, with his face still inside the helmet. And that's what I mean by Chagorian shave, which is hilarious to say the least. Another of the characters I've created here is this lovely chap, who is armed with a bow, of all things. Now, some people go, why the hell have you got a 40k guy armed with this weird looking bow? Well, in campaigns, the White Scars have a relic called the Parthian Serpent, and it's a bow. It's a relic weapon, and it's a very strong weapon, actually. Quite long ranged, so I made one because, again, themey as fuck. I, of course, have a Terran-born, and the key with this army is all the White Scars are Terran-born librarian, which is why he has more Terran features, a Terran-style sword, you know, because he's from Earth, not from Chagoris like the other White Scars are. He doesn't have that Mongolian upbringing. So he's got war gear that reflects this, especially on the sword, which if I can zoom in on it, good luck to me. I've got the right lens for the situation. I've tried to put a warp pattern into the sword with like shifting blues and purples, which again I think is cool as hell if you could pull off the look with little bits of lightning arcing through it, just to represent that it's a force weapon and should stand out from the crowd. And the last character I created here is this guy. And this mustachioed chap is just to lead my White Scars Terminators, my Kashyyyk, with his awesome mustache of manliness. And he has some funny icons, like the Sons of Horus icon on his shoulder. See, a lot of White Scars, especially the Terran-born ones, fought with the Sons of Horus early in the Crusade, and were given like battle honours by the Sons of Horus for fighting with them and performing well in combat. Well, they kept those honours as a way of saying fuck you to the traitors, much as the traitors kept their Aquillas as a way of saying fuck you to the Imperium. For my Iron Hands, I've built one character, because I don't need as much variety with them, and this guy essentially can play as Shadrach Medusan if I so choose, if I was using a special character, but essentially I just play him as a regular Iron Hand champion with a Cyber Familiar up on top. And he's a pretty cool guy. Bionic leg, of course. That bolt gun's actually 2 bolt guns. It's from Bjorn, not Bjorn, so Gygor Fell-Handed. So it has the chain in that, holding it on. And I changed out the Space Wolf components of it with another bolt gun. So it looks the part. Alright. I also have my White Scars Kashyyyk. So you're probably wondering how I've created this guy. This is a Grey Knight's halberd, a Nemesis Force weapon, in his right hand, which I sculpted the blade, cut it down. This is just a file and a hobby knife to get this Mongolian or glaive shape to it, this Asian glaive. I've also gone for Justerian bodies from the Sons of Horus 30k range, because they give you a really sort of brittle looking Terminator armor. The shoulders are from Martillo Waikola, and they're 3D printed and they look so cool. I can't remember where I got the banner from, but again, I tried to keep the Sons of Horus iconography to it, and it's a bit of like the samurai, how they wore flags on their backs. So that's what's going on with these Terminators. I've given them all chain fists, because these guys are my specialist breaching unit for the army, as I have no breaches. Oh, and of course the helmets are White Scars upgrade helmets from Forge World. The other half of the force of the White Scars are these guys. Despoilers, which are essentially just tactical marines but with swords and bolt pistols. Now these guys are cool because I've gone for Mark V styling, so I've gone for a whole mix of different armours on them in order to break it up a bit. So I've also gone for like these little war markings on their faces to make them stand out, like little red slashes, and on the armour as well. So again, this is Mark V armour. They've like cobbled it together because they're not fighting with their legion. They've got no support, no supplies. They just pick up whatever they can on the battlefield and use it. And because of that, I've tried to go for a whole bunch of different designs. Some guys are in Mark 3, 2, 4, 6, and of course lots of Mark 5. Mark 5 being a stopgap armour, and a few of these Anvilus pattern backpacks as well, which weren't exclusive to the traders. Alright, the Iron Hands. For these guys, I did a clear basing, a clear coat for their base coats. So I get this sort of colour shift over the models. Yeah. Very hard to see on this guy because he's very detailed. I'll try and pick another shield. See if I can get it to focus in and maybe show a bit the colour shift. So first it's greens and then oranges and then getting a lot of glare off the light. Well, trust me, in person the colour changes. From greens to purples to oranges, yellows. It's to represent like that oily sheen on everything, like when you get water and oil mixed together and it turns sort of rainbow. Well, the same sort of look. So that's the Medusan Immortals, which I can run as breaches or Immortals. Immortals aren't a fantastic unit, but these guys are. Gorgon Terminators. So in this case, graviton gun, because they can move and fire these bad boys, unlike other units in the army. They also have the colour shift going on, and they're mostly armed with, well, power axes. Gorgon Terminators are in-game, quite tough to kill, feel no pain, high toughness, and of course, Terminator armour. There's also a Squad Sergeant, comes with a Thunderhammer as standard. Trying to show off that sheen, I'll probably show it off better on the Dreadnought. And of course there's one chain fist in the unit for breaching doors and such. And you can see a little bit of that colour shift in that fist. Again, not very photogenic because the glare comes off the sort of metallic sheen with the lighting, but trust me, in person, it's a pretty cool effect. Which I suppose leaves us with the last but not least, the Leviathan Dreadnought. Now I've tried to iron hands this up. I've added the Mechanicum belt buckle. I also added all this cabling under the torso to show that he's sitting sort of modified. I drilled out his eye socket and put the sight off a bolt gun in as a lens. So again, modified look, and he's got that same sort of colour shift going on with the paint, where, you know, it's green, then it's yellow, then it's like purples, and I just love the look of it. As usual with Leviathans, I do have other weapons for him. The arms are magnetised, but I generally find this is the best way to run a Leviathan. One drill, one claw. The claw kills characters really well, and the drill destroys anything that has an armor value very well. And Volkite nipples are pretty good. The only one I would suggest not putting Volkite nipples on is Death Guard or Salamanders with heavy flamers, and perhaps heavy, assault cannons on Blood Angels, because it's just flat out an upgrade. Markings wise, I use the old school decal sheet for the iron hands because I can't be bothered buying a new one with Forge World's pricing structure. It's like €20 at the moment to get a decal sheet delivered to Australia. It's terrible. Anyway, I'm back with the Outer Circle. Hope you enjoyed this quick look at my Shattered Legion Sagyar Mazan force. I'll show off the White Scars on bikes soon, and see you all next time.